Hi Aries, thank you for joining me and welcome to my channel. It's Veroosh and this is your reading for the eclipse that happened yesterday morning. A hummingbird has just come to the bird sanctuary and is feeding on nectar, so that's a good sign. I hope you got through the eclipse okay, and the energy from the eclipse is still valid today, tomorrow, and for some time after. It's not a specific timeline that these energies work on. It depends on what's going on in your life, and we'll talk about the astrology in a minute. But definitely allow some time to kind of continue for things to develop. Especially with an eclipse, a lot of things may have changed. Some of those things may not be immediately apparent, so give yourself some time to kind of get an opportunity to understand it. Members, I am going to do extended readings for members. They'll be linked in the description when they're ready. And they are for now until June. Some of the major transits that are going on in the sky. So we'll go through those transits and break them down and do a bit of a more spiritual reading. So if you're interested in insight and growth and those kinds of bigger topics without a very simple answer necessarily, does Bobby like me? It's not like that. It's more of a deeper understanding of things. So yes, remember, I'm back. There's already a video there for you guys in the members only section for May. Okay, so let's begin with the eclipse. The eclipse happened for you in the 10th house. The 10th house governs career, ninth house, education, higher thought, long distance travel, those kinds of things. There's something in your life that sort of blocks you from going as far as you want. And that doesn't mean it doesn't have to be a huge thing or central to your life, but there is something there that sort of prevents you from going as far as you want to. Well, with this transit and this eclipse, some of that may be alleviated or may have been already. So something may have released you and allowed you to go further. So let's say that you really want to travel, but you have plants, right? So you may meet someone who can take care of your plants for you and thereby open up opportunity to travel. So it could be a positive or negative thing, but it's going to give you more options and different ways of achieving this thing. This could be also true for work, for school, in which if you are blocked in your education, this was a wonderful eclipse to move forward through that. So very exciting eclipse. It was informed by your 3rd house. There may have been some kind of communication that came to you in one form or another. I'm not sure what's going on with my throat, but I'm fine and I'm not sick, so sorry. It just sounds funny, but it feels fine. That was weird. But anyway, some kind of communication could have come to you through the 3rd house. And with Mercury retrograde starting in 2 days, it's very likely, I can really see that there's something that you may need go through a second time through with in order to address it. So there's a second round through with something, a rehash, so to speak, a different approach to a situation with Mercury going retrograde in the 3rd house. So it's going to be big, but I think that you're going to have to put in some kind of work in order to do that. And that leads me to my point for your sign. I did these astrological overviews for every single sign. So you may want to watch some of the other ones to see some of the other points. But I do try to kind of see what's going on for every sign. And for you, of course, Chiron in Aries is very, very important. So Chiron in Aries has a lot to do with identity stuff. Who you are, how your environment has limited who you are very often, or how you have limited who you are through various consequences. Or, it's you, your environment, or some people around you, or just circumstances, and how maybe feeling some kind of way. I mean, we all could be more than what we are. None of us get it 100% correct, right? So we all have these feelings that if we had done more, then, or if we had not done something, then it would be different, right? So that's a really normal feature. But in Aries, Chiron in Aries is all about that. It's all about who we are and the reasons for it, no matter what the reason is. And then sort of facing that and coming to terms with where we are and then growing past that. So it's a pretty good transit. And that transit was in a trine with the South Node during that time. So you could be feeling particularly connected to what in the world limited your growth. So you've been keenly aware, of your circumstances growing up, or, how school went for you, how your travel experiences, and how they, in some way or another, affected how much you grew into the potential of what you see for yourself. But with Chiron, we have to remind ourselves that, like I said, that's why I said that at the beginning, because everyone can have a higher potential than that which they are. Everyone. And so in one way or another, and because it's in your first house, and Chiron in Aries is very much like that. It's like, if I just didn't do this, or if I just did this better, if I didn't eat cake, then I wouldn't have this tummy to deal with, those kinds of things. But in your first house, it has to do with who you are, right? And your personality. And so therefore, just fight the urge to be difficult on yourself through this transit. And don't feel limited. So you have this potential to kind of break out and break through. There's going to be some kind of communication that you're going to be dealing with here in order to get you over here, probably in the next 9-year cycle. That doesn't mean you have to wait 9 years for it to happen, but that's how it's going to transform. And in the meantime, this Chiron trine to the South Node is really saying, like, you may be feeling weighed down by your thoughts, feelings, and impressions, experiences, but don't let it make you go slower than what you would. Like, don't let it take the wind out of your sails, because it could feel as though it could be everything from something that you did, and especially with the South Node, that's why I stopped myself. It could be something hereditary, like with your family and even past lives. So you could feel very like defenseless against it, or that it got you before you knew what was good. Those kinds of feelings. So fight that. There is a way through, and your force and your apply yourself regardless of where you are. This is a wonderful time to break forward. And I would say now for the next 2 weeks until the new moon eclipse in Gemini here at 20 degrees, apply yourself, and very much you will have the opportunity to like rehash things so you can get to where you want to be. And that's a lot of changes happening around you right now, Aries, and that's a very positive shift. You can really make a difference in your life at this time. Okay, so let's see your cards. If it's a little dark today, I'm sorry. There are very, very thick clouds, which are so beautiful. They're so low. It's almost like fog, but just a little bit off the ground. It's very nice. Okay, and that's probably why I have my little hrybka, which is like the little thing in my throat, because I live in a marine climate and it just gets very, very damp. Okay, so here are some overview cards. We have the 8 of water, and I don't have to go and water my plants, which is great because it rained. So we have the Maiden next, and then we have the 10, which is the Journey. I love this card. See, you're very much going somewhere with this. And then we have the Father energy. And on the bottom, we have another card for the Journey, this one. It really feels as though there's a couple here. There's 2 people. Don't worry about genders. One's quite youthful in spirit, and somebody really wants to achieve what they want. They're moving forward with a lot of ambition and a lot of hope and a lot of positivity. And that is leading them onto a journey that will ultimately lead them. And if you're a woman watching this, it's switch the gender around. We're looking at age here. So and if you're older, then this is also to do with like an age relevant to the cycle that you're going through rather than physical age. So they're starting off, this is fairly new, something new and fresh and young, and they're moving with a lot of positivity towards their future. There's a lot of choices ahead of you, Aries, a lot of choices, and one of the themes that's coming up for the reading already so much is like, are you going to rise to the surface? Are you going to, how much energy are you going to apply in this direction you're going, right? How much energy are you going to apply with where you want to go and how you want to get there? But this is where you are going. This is very similar to the Emperor card for me. So you're going to move towards self-mastery. So if you're learning something new, how much energy are you going to put behind doing this? And the key elements here are that this is for, in part, to do with love. That there's a love or a friendship, but there's someone, and for some of you who it's not love, it could be also like a child or a dependent, then that you want to take care. I feel as though that there's like a I want to protect this person sort of energy. I want to do well for this person and I want them to have a good life. So I feel as though there's a heavy determination on a new path. There's a lot of choices ahead, and you're going to make all these choices, and as you make these choices, the energy that you come at it with. So if you, like, let's say, I don't know, like people learn computer programming in like 4 months online, and they sit in front of the computer like night and day and learn everything and commit themselves and just work really hard towards it. And they get pretty good in that time period. And then there's people who sort of, just sit around and twiddle their thumbs. And it could be many months or even years before they're good, and they're never that good. Again, I think it's a situation in which the amount of effort and self-confidence you apply to the situation will yield the outcome of a lot of success. So yeah, there's somebody is, I think it's you, moving forward with a lot of like zest, a lot of excitement for what's coming. And I think you're taking on a lot too, a lot for the future. So you're sort of, how do you say, like you're taking on a lot, like you haven't done it yet, but you're already setting up to do it. So you sign up for it and make sure that you see it through sort of energy. So I want to keep this guy around just to have for the next part of the reading. I just put him up too far. Let's take a look at the rest of the deck. So now we're going to do the next reading. Let's have a look and see what's happening for you, Aries. Okay, so we have the King of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Let's see the next cards. And then we have the Five of Cups. And then we have the Seven of Cups. Oh. I feel as though that there's an older figure who's judging you also, like maybe not a father, but like someone you're trying to live up to. And I think that they're the same gender as you. So if you're a man, then it's a man. If you're a woman, then it's a woman. And then we have the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, so I do feel as though, and I felt this before, but I didn't like name it, but it kind of came into focus with these cards here, that there is a person who set a very high standard for you to live up to, one that you don't necessarily, one that you're not able to necessarily meet. So no matter what you do, this person's expectation is never going to be satisfied. And that caused a lot of confusion in your life until you realized that they are this way. And so I think you're already at this point. That's that Chiron and Aries. See how it's playing in? And so you've realized this at some point in your life, and now you're turning your back on that discernment. Maybe not that person, but you're turning your back and going in the direction that you desire, which is the Six of Cups, and the work that you are going to create for yourself in the direction you're going. So you're sort of, taking it all on your own shoulders. You're really trying hard. I can sense that this person is really close to you. It could be your father or your mother that's coming through, like with a very, very, rejection by lack of acceptance, right? And no matter how hard you work, that's what's really coming through. No matter how much work had been done, there was just no acceptance. And then at some point when you grow into yourself, you look back and you realize that maybe they did it inadvertently, but they did it nonetheless. And so there's a disappointment, a deep disappointment, because you had a lot of faith in their discernment. You had a lot of faith in their goodwill. And so you sort of turned your back on all that, and you're making your way in your own direction, sort of free from their, confusion. I really don't get a vibe that they're hateful or whatever. But I do feel as though they are, just the fact that they're not hateful is not enough. They have to not be hurtful. And so I feel like this is a very powerful moment in your life in which you're getting rid of the influence of someone who, no matter what happens, they will find that way in. Water always finds a way. So it's a very similar energy to water. Water will always find a way down a rock face in order to etch into its side, right? To get to the creek or the river or whatever. And so attitudes of people, this feels like a very strong opinion. And so attitudes of people and beliefs are very, very firm oftentimes. And in this case, yes. And so I think that it's not something you can affect, right? That doesn't mean that they don't love you. It just means that it's an unworkable situation in this direction. And so you're finding prosperity in this other. And the prosperity is beautiful. I sense that you're very happy in this direction. This might be to do with a Scorpio, a Sun in Scorpio energy, or a Virgo, Sun in Virgo. But this feels more like what you're doing, like working, committing yourself to a job, committing yourself to effort towards a particular direction, and just focusing in on that. Then we have the Seven of Wands. It got really dark. There's a huge, we might hear a lightning, which is uncommon, but it looks like a lightning cloud, which I love. I'm from Poland, and in Poland, it's flat, right? We're agrarian country, but where I live is by the ocean. And there's very rarely, once a year, maybe a thunderstorm. We might be lucky, and it's often this time of year when the weather really shifts from winter to summer, when the air changes. That's what causes it. But in Poland there was tons, and I miss them. I love lightning storms are my favorite. So we have the, sorry to get sentimental, I'm just excited that there's a potential for a lightning strike. Okay, we have the seven, and there's lots of trees, everybody's safe, right? Okay, so Seven of Wands. And then the Ace of Wands. Oh, that's how I got distracted, because it got so dark. My goodness, but you guys can see. That's okay. Turn on the purple light for plants too. So we have the Seven of Wands, the Ace of Wands, the Five of Swords, okay? And then we have the Lovers. See? Look at this. This feels like a good direction, and that verifies that Maiden there. There's a person for whom this is for. Now, if you have kids and you're single and you're not looking for love, it feels like an outpouring of love towards someone who you perceive as sweet and innocent. That's why I said children. But I also feel as though for many of you, this has to do with a romantic love. Somebody who is really worth your energy. And then we have the High Priestess and the card, the Sun at the bottom. So your life is really taking a turn for the better, no matter what your circumstances are. The Ace of Wands to me is like a lightning strike. It's something very new and fresh, so somewhat like a breakthrough. I do sense as though you're going to be thinking about the past, about having to defend yourself and, you know, put up walls and try to... There was definitely a time in which you tried to work with it. There's several stages to this awakening you've had. There was first denial, you know, because it wasn't truthful. They were judging you and rejecting you because that's their character. King of Swords is like up their own butt a bit. And so, and then you realize what's happening and you try to fix it, and the disappointment and dealing with the feelings and whatnot. And then with the Five of Swords, you come to accept slowly and realize that this is the way they are. Maybe you've given them several chances. And this is you for a long time, and you can't see the card, but defending yourself over and over and over and over again, right? And yeah, so ultimately you're going to come to realization, which is the High Priestess. You will come into insight, and there's like a higher... You are going to such a good direction, Aries, and I can't stress enough that the key to your success is for you to be confident and fight these doubts that are seeping in. That's why we're getting these cards, because this Chiron in... This is it's a challenge transit, you know? It's one in which your self-confidence about who you are is challenged. So meet that challenge. You're supposed to take it and meet it and come through with confidence and start looking first deal with the things that are immediately around you, especially communication type things, and then move towards the outer place where you want to go, the sun. Did you guys see how dark it got? It's a huge dark cloud right over us. It's before sunset, still about an hour, so it shouldn't be this dark, but oh, it's right over me. Okay, I'm gonna go, you guys, and hopefully not get struck by lightning, but you guys will see this tonight. Members, I'm going to post your video in the description and on the members page when it's ready. And yeah, we're just gonna keep going, okay? So thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.